Welcome to part 2.
Hello, Mardon Motel?
This is coming through the land, to the town, where we live, and where we are, all of us, each and every one. The sun's rays shine upon us every day. There's always beer.
There's Always Beer, the first track off B&R's new album.
On the third day, the Duck walks into the bar. For the third time, he looks at the bartender and he says, "You got any grapes?" The bartender says, "Listen, you've been in here 3 days in a row now. You keep asking me for grapes. I keep telling you, we don't sell grapes. We have booze. We have beer nuts, and there's pickled eggs at the end of the bar that nobody ever buys. Now get the hell out of here before I nail your goddamn bill to the bar." Duck's a bit taken aback. He walks out.
And here's part 2 of checking into a hotel.
Now, the clerk might be in a mood, so ignore that. He might sigh and fuss and try to make you think that you are taking him away from some important stuff. You are not. He is playing solitaire on the hotel computer, stalling until he has to empty garbage cans or clean toilets. Him renting a room is really his job, but he might not care. He doesn't make much money for this gig, and he's not on a fast track to anything. So it might go like this. Sure, mister, we've got a great room with a bath on the second floor. Here's the key. Take a look and come back and we'll do the paperwork. Or, yeah. And a key bounces on the counter. A regular quick-set key like all the rest you've ever seen ever. Or it might be an old throwback, not quite skeleton key from the Dark Ages. Irregardless, it's a key. Take it. Go find the room. Now you get to do two things. First is investigate this building, and second is check out the room. Clerk might escort you to the room in question, after you wait for him to lock up the office. Note what he shows you and what he doesn't. Mind the noises and smells he ignores or just doesn't notice anymore. He is mired in this mess, a slow-boiling frog. You are new to this cauldron. Pay attention. Have him show you the facilities. He'll give you a good idea of how things go here. If there is trash in the halls and in the toilets, there is trash in the rooms. Not the litter you see in the halls. There are trashy people in the rooms you are walking past. Guaranteed. If you are being escorted, play nice. Nod and agree with clerk. And take note. He will give you hints about all the drama in this beehive. And he makes noise sometimes, clerk might say. Just ignore that and it'll stop later. Clerk most likely lives in the building himself and knows of what he speaks. Now, if there are blood stains on walls or carpets still discernible on this walk, you might want to reconsider this as your residential hotel. Those are the things that should be cleaned up most rapidly. If not, you might be in a wing of hell. Proceed with caution. At your room, or what might be your room, don't expect anything grand. It'll be a door like all those you just walked past, or worse. There might be residual bumper sticker stickiness, or the actual stickers claiming anarchy or alcohol, or barely painted over warnings, or phone numbers. Or it might be nice. Plain wood door. The lock working is a good test. If it does, then things are on cue. If not, I'd be leery. Clerk has to perform a contortion act to open the door. Be warned. Once the door is open, look into the room when the lights go on. If you see a moving kaleidoscope on the walls, or if you hear movement somewhere in the depths of the room, go away now. This is not a good place. All the rest of the signs that meant little until now underscore the argument that here is bad. Roaches aplenty and maybe rats rule this room. You don't want that, trust me. But maybe it's all good. Nothing scary on entry. Okay, so the art on the wall is tacky, dirty maybe, and crooked on its nail. That's a given. The art askew. The bed isn't 4-star, but you knew that already, given what you've seen so far. The sink is an old one, hung on a wall many decades ago under a medicine cabinet whose mirror is blurred at the corners. The bathroom is funky, tile old, a claw-footed tub with a ceiling-hung contraption holding a musty off-white curtain. But these are acceptable parameters. You are looking for an inner-city residential hotel room, after all. This might not be as bad as it could be. So you decide to rent this room. Go back to the front desk and fill out the form. Show your ID, pay cash for a week's rent. You're not permanent yet, but you have a space in the city. Schlep your things here. Unpack your underwear if you like. Put up that photo of you at Graceland. You're home now, for what all that means. This is not etched in any stone, mind you. You have a few hurdles yet. But now you have a place. Write that postcard. Change your mailing address. Now you live in the inner city. Welcome.
This is the operator. May I help you?
There they were again, the thumpers, he called them. Didn't matter what time of day, he always made that bed thump against the wall. Sometimes there was a rhythm to it, a steady beat that he could make fade into the background noise. All he had to do was turn up the volume of his radio and forget about it. The thumps would blend with the ball game or the horn honks from the street outside. But when it was late at night, like it was now, he could do little but listen. He imagined the girl lying on her back, probably with her arms above her head, her eyes closed, her face turned into her shoulder, biting her lower lip between her moans. He would be a topper, his arms bearing the weight of his upper body while his hips thrust his groin against hers. The thumps stopped for a few moments, and he could hear her breathless whispers as they changed positions. Maybe her turning over on all fours, and he mounted her from behind. The sound changed when they were in that arrangement. The thumps against the wall were faster, lighter, and the girl's moans were always louder, shriller, more insistent. Sometimes that would be the end, the point at which he imagined that the man would ejaculate because he would hear a deep animal roar and, "Oh, fuck! Oh, Jesus!" And then there would be silence. Other times, they would have a brief respite, with the bed springs lightly jostling, and a slower, gentler cadence would begin. This is when he could hear the girl's enthusiasm. Her moans grew quicker together and gained pitch. She liked it this way, he guessed. Her squeals would change to quick, muffled cries until she came in a smooth torrent of yes, yes, yes. And that ended with a satisfied sigh. And the thumpers would whisper to themselves, maybe laugh a bit, but that was normal noise.
Neil Cologne always figured he was meant for something big. He was so certain that the phone call would come from a talent scout that he was never out of earshot from his phone. He didn't trust beepers nor answering machines. He couldn't trust any friends to take the message for him simply due to the fact that he didn't know anybody. Not in the city, anyway. He was so terrified of missing the call that he never met anyone. The only people he knew were the landlord and the delivery boy, whom he only saw on Tuesdays. Days went by. The only call he got was from the grocery 2 blocks away. They called every Monday to take his order for the week. On Thursday, while Neil was taking his trash to the compactor at the end of the hall, his phone rang. He raced back to the door, but to his horror, it was locked! It must have blown shut while he was dumping his trash. Ring! The phone said a second time. Neil patted down his pockets, hoping to find a spare key that he knew he didn't have. A third ring. "Oh, God!" he yelled. He kicked the door. Nothing. He shoved his shoulder into the door. It wouldn't budge. The phone rang a 4th time. Sweating now, Neil ran towards the fire escape and crawled out onto the rusty platform. Without hesitation, he stepped onto the stone ledge that surrounded his building. He edged around the corner of the building until he could see his window. He heard the phone ring again. Was that the 5th or 6th ring? He asked himself. He carefully, yet quickly, made his way to his window. He placed both hands under the window pane and lifted up. It had been a very humid summer, and most of the wood in this building had swelled slightly, so his window was more difficult to open than usual. The phone rang again. Neil pulled up as hard as he could, and the window flew open, causing him to lose his balance. He tried to grab a hold of anything as he fell backwards, but his hands reached into empty air. 9 stories later, Neil hit the sidewalk in a muffled thud. 14 blocks away, in an office on the 3rd floor, Eddie hung up his phone. "Nobody home, I guess," he said to a coworker. Eddie looked at his list and dialed the next number. "Hello? May I speak to Mr. Colosa?" "Speaking," said the voice on the phone. "Mr. Colosa, I'm calling you to discuss an exciting offer of life insurance coverage."